What is up, guys? Welcome back to the J Square Gridiron Podcast. Here with you, wherever you may be listening, YouTube, Facebook, whatever it may be. Hey, guys, week 4, it's JT and Jake checking in with you guys, and we got a special guest here today with us, the one, the only Mark Trexler. Gentlemen, how are we feeling today? Week 4 coming up with us.
Yeah, man, I'm feeling great. We're still keeping football alive this season. Unfortunately, we had our first game that was canceled because of COVID. So, first of all, I want to say fuck COVID. And second of all, Steelers will be bouncing back here soon. We'll touch on that a little bit. But I'm happy. Football's back. We're all good. High school football is still alive for those that follow it. Always a big thing here in Pennsylvania, probably around nationwide. So I'm doing good. Mark, welcome to the podcast, man. How are you feeling, man?
Feeling great, Jake and JT. Appreciate you guys having me on tonight to join you. It's been an absolute pleasure to come here and collab with you guys for this episode tonight. You guys have been hosting a great podcast here over the past few weeks. Love to join in. You were talking on your local PA sports here. Obviously, they just fought the governor about that, where he was limiting the attendance in stands. So obviously the court found that it was illegal for them to do that. So now people can attend and see their kids in the stands, which is huge in Pennsylvania. I mean, come from Tunkhannock, or in a rural area, we love to go and support our local high school football team. But I'm excited to talk about some NFL with you guys tonight, and I think it's only going to get better from here. Hopefully, knock on wood, right?
Yeah, definitely. And let's start off, guys, with pretty much one of the more popular topics here on this podcast. Guys, let's get it going with a couple of game picks and everything. And let's get off with the game that's right now we're recording at about 7:53 right now. So a game that's going to be going off in about, say, half hour or 45 minutes, something like that, depending on how you're going and everything like that. Let's start off with our Thursday night game. Jets, Broncos, two absolutely abysmal teams. Honestly, if you asked us about 3 weeks ago, we probably wouldn't have even considered putting this game on, even though it's a Thursday night game for game picks. However, looking at it now with everything that's happened to Denver and everything, and honestly, y'all are not going to believe me, but New York is a 1-point favorite going into this game. So, Jake, I'll start with you. Jets, Broncos tonight. 2-0-3 teams. Who picks up their first win tonight?
Oh, Christ. I wish there was a possible way that I could say that there's going to be a tie, because we saw it last week with Philly and Cincy, but I don't think we're going to be blessed enough to have 2 straight weeks where we have a tie between two awful teams, and I apologize. My computer is like playing a Capital One ad, so if that shows up in the recording, I apologize. But I'm looking at the predictions here on NFL.com. Holy shit. Drew Lock against Sam Darnold. I'm going to have to go with the unsung hero in this one. I'm going to give this one to Denver. They have a new quarterback in tonight, Brett Ripien, I think is his name. I've never heard of this guy. This is I love really stupid narratives, but let's see what we can get up on Brett Ripien. He's played in one game. He's got 53 passing yards. He's got a completion percentage of 90%. One interception, though. But I think tonight's going to be a big night for him. He's going to make his first NFL start with the Broncos. I believe they're playing in New York, I believe, is where the game is. But either way, the Jets, I'm sorry, they're just dog shit. They are absolutely terrible. And the Broncos are, I think, in my opinion, they're just in a very bad slump right now. They're going to break out of it here soon. I don't think that, something – I'm trying to say I don't think something terrible is going to happen with them, but I don't know. My fortune is just to lean toward Denver tonight. I know that took a while for me to get out, but, how can you really assess 2 teams that are 0-3 in the illustrious Tank Bowl? I don't know. Sam Darnold, to me, he's just not in the right place. I don't think New York is the good fit for him. I think if he were traded somewhere else, he'd be a better quarterback. He's got no weapons. They've just been dog shit this year. So I'm going to go with the unsung hero, Brett Ripien. Good luck tonight. You're going under center, and I know you're going to get your first win.
And honestly, Jake, I'm cool with that. You taking your time with this one, because honestly, this is a game that not even some of the experts are having a problem with. Mark, I turn to you, man. And I said it earlier, welcome to the podcast, man. But and what a game for you to start off with. Two, as Jake said, two dog shit teams, the Broncos and Jets right now. I mean, is there really a winner, or like who you got tonight, man?
All right, so I definitely think this is going to be a close game tonight. I mean, one issue that I've had with the NFL is this year, especially, is making all these Thursday night games. You have to get into the NFL Network, which I'm not a fan of, because there are games like this game, Cleveland versus Cincinnati, games like this where I would love to see. Yeah, these teams aren't exactly great, but this is young and upcoming talent that other teams can essentially cherry pick off later on down the road when teams decide to move on or contracts expire, stuff like that. Tonight, I actually have the Jets getting their win. And let me tell you why I have the Jets getting their win tonight. So Denver lost Drew Lock 2 weeks ago to a shoulder injury. Jeff Driscoll came in last week, played against Tampa Bay. He looked terrible last week. Now we have a rookie undrafted signal caller out of Boise State named Brett, who gets to start under center tonight. The defense ranked as follows. Denver's ranked as 20th, while the Jets are ranked as 22nd. Although you could argue you could account that to Von Miller being on Denver's defense. I think the keys for Denver tonight is going to be one rookie wide receiver, KJ Hamler, the former PSU, Speedy Gonzalez out there. Denver also needs to go with the run game and pound the Jets defense. You need to use Melvin Gordon, and you need to use Lindsey if he's available. For the New York Jets, you need to have a good game from Frank Gore, and you need to have a good game from Sam Darnold as well. It's going to be – defense is, in my opinion, evenly matched here. If there was a home field advantage, yes, you could say the Jets have it, even though that isn't the case now. Hopefully the turf is going to be better tonight as well compared to a couple weeks ago when you had the 49ers come in and the 49ers got all those injuries, which was terrible to see that. You don't want to see anyone getting hurt, especially this early in the season. I don't like Denver, though. I think Denver, you have too many new pieces. A lot of people are still trying to jive, and a lot of it's being thrown in last minute. Plus, they have to travel to MetLife Stadium. I'm taking the Jets in this one, and I'm going to take them by 4 points, I think.
I like that pick, and I really do. I like that Jets pick. I really do. Ooh, and for me, and Jake, I'll get your take on that in a second, but I just want to – I'm going to get my pick out there real quick before I forget, because knowing my dumbass, I'll probably completely shoot over it. But here's the thing for me, and this just broke out about an hour ago, and for whatever reason, this guy, whenever he comes back or whenever he starts up is an absolute tank, and that's Jamison Crowder. Jamison Crowder is now active, so Jet fans, you got a little bit of happiness coming your way. In terms of the matchup and everything, it's tough. Like, the line is at 41 right now, or the over-under is at 41 right now, and that's obviously going to get broken tonight. Like, let's be real. Even though, like, we have no idea what to expect from the quarterbacks, a lot of points could be scored on defense. And unfortunately, both teams, if Von Miller was playing and everything like this would be the type of game where you see Von Miller get like 7 sacks in the entire game, simply because of the fact that he'd be abusing the living hell out of the Jets' offensive line. But does that really change anything for me? No, Jake, I'm with you. If there could have been a pick of a tie, I would have gone with you on that. But unfortunately, I got to make a pick, and I got to go with the Broncos on this one simply because of the fact that it's like you guys said, and I definitely think that the Jets, the Jets need more than a rebuild, and honestly, that could be said for both New York teams. So really, for me, it's just a case of Denver, I feel like, is a little bit more of an overall team, and you also got another, you got 3 more quarterbacks on the bench as well if everything doesn't go well for Ripon tonight. You got Driscoll sitting on the bench, and you also got Blake Bortles, and I'm not sure if Drew Lock is active or anything tonight. But who knows? It's going to be something to see tonight. So, but Jake, I got to get your take on Mark picking the Jets tonight.
I mean, like I said before, it's kind of hard to really pick a decisive winner when it comes to 2 trash teams, both winless, combined records of 0-6. But, I mean, is there a possibility that could happen? Yes. And I believe the reason I say that, I feel like it was week 1 when we saw the Jets. Let me go back. Let me just flash back here real quick. Give me a minute here. They were within 10 points of Buffalo. They only lost 27-17, and Buffalo is an undefeated team. So, I mean, they held their own, which is pretty sad. Jamison Crowder was the leading receiver in that one, but I don't know. bad pick because it wasn't. It was a very, educated pick. He came up with facts. There was good shit there, nothing decisive there. But for me, I just don't see it from Sam Darnold. And I don't see it from the Jets defense either. To me, the Jets are just a crumbling organization. They are what you try, or what comes about when you try stacking books on top of a single saltine cracker. It just crumbles. So, it could happen. We've seen weirder things happen in the game of football, let alone every sport possible. But for me, it doesn't change my opinion. I still think Denver's going to come out with this one, even though they're back at their third string quarterback. And it just goes back. Third string quarterbacks, JT, you know it all too well. Last year, the Pittsburgh Steelers, Doug Hodges came in. And what did we do? We won a few games with them. So that's where I stand on that. I think it's a possibility that the Jets could pull off the upset, quote unquote upset. But for me personally, I got to stick with Denver.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be tonight. I feel like is the game that you don't put any money on. The only thing that you really put the money on is the over under, and really that's really it. But jumping into everything, pretty much going into Sunday now, and the first game I wanna hop into, you guys, is probably gonna piss off a bunch of fan bases and everything. It was a game that we kind of tossed in last minute while we were looking over games. I was looking at games, and pretty much like 90% of these games are going to be blowouts on Sunday. However, this one, if the right team shows up, has the potential to be probably maybe game of the year candidate, potentially. I doubt it, but honestly, it's two fan bases that honestly Steeler fans can't stand. And so, Jake, Browns and Cowboys, if people don't know who I'm talking about by now, by the way, that's the game. But Browns Cowboys, really, it's a lose-lose for Steelers fans. But at the same time, we have a little something to go for because Cowboys are struggling, Browns are struggling, and it's just abysmal show for both teams. So what happens Sunday between these two unbelievably annoying fan bases, to say the least?
Well, see, this is the thing I don't know, because the Cowboys, they just don't look like they're ever going to show up to a game. And I mean, they if you're talking realistically, they should be 0-3 right now. So, you know what, I'm gonna make a shit pick here. And when I say shit pick, I think a lot of people you said are gonna get pissed off by it. I'm gonna take the upset. I really think the Browns can overcome the Cowboys, not because of anything spectacular. Like, don't get me wrong, it's going to be a shit game. It really is, because I have a funny feeling Dak Prescott is just going to be, he starts off slow, and when he doesn't find his receivers, it gets worse for him. So I have a funny feeling that, Baker Mayfield and the Browns are going to show up in Dallas. And I keep forgetting how many games or how often do we see Cowboys in the 1 o'clock time slot? I think they're not used to it, whereas this is where the Browns normally play. They're coming off 2 straight wins, one against the Bengals and Washington. I know 2 crappier teams, but I mean, I just think with how the Cowboys, where they should be this year and where they are, I don't see them being as strong as people perfected to be. If they were if they were better than what they are now, maybe 3-0, 2-1, I'd easily give it to the Cowboys. But based on the Browns winning 2 straight, they realize that they've had their first winning record in over 2,000 games, or 2,000 days, I should say. And then the Cowboys just playing like crap this entire season, being indecisive about whether they want to win or lose. I think my decision goes with the Browns. It's going to be a close game. I'd say maybe a differential, maybe 7 points, but that's going to be my like sneaky pick this week. I think the Browns overcome the Cowboys.
I like it. And Mark, this gets easier for you, man. And simply because of the fact that you don't, I've heard you talk a bunch about the Cowboys and everything, and I've heard you talk about also the Browns as well. Honestly, but this year, again, if everything that came to fruition and everything like that, if everything was going with the Cowboys, this game we wouldn't even be talking about right now. But Mark, everything that's going around with Dallas and with Cleveland, I got to ask, man, who you got for this one?
I 100% agree with Jake, where I do believe, and I don't think it's really a wild pick for your call, Jake. I really do believe that the Browns are going to go to Jerry World this week and pull off the upset. And let me tell you guys why I think that. So Dallas defense right now is ranked 31 out of 32 in the NFL, allowing an average of 31.6 points over the last 3 games against the Rams, the Falcons, and Seattle. Dallas's defense is currently riddled with injuries. Let's not forget players like Leighton Vander Esch, who is right now out with a broken collarbone. He's huge on that Dallas defense. Dallas has had a really hard time stopping the run. They're facing this week Chubb and Hunt. And again, they're having a terrible time stopping the pass. Beckham Jr., Landry, Hooper, some of the weapons for the Browns. The question this week is, especially for the Browns, can Baker Mayfield capitalize on this opportunity? Over the past 3 games, Baker has thrown 5 touchdowns with 2 interceptions for a loss against Baltimore and 2 wins against Cincy and Washington. Baker's right now average is 13.16 points over these games. With that said, in order for Baker to capitalize, he needs to rise up and show us why he is a Heisman winner, why he is a 2018 NFL All-Rookie, why he is a 2019 NFL Top 100 player ranked at number 50. Baker has the talent, and we've gone over this before, and that's been evident, but he just cannot succeed, and it doesn't matter whether it's a big spotlight game or if it's another backwater game that's happening in the cold tundra of Cleveland. This is Baker's chance to shine. People say he can't show up in games. This is Baker's chance to shine. This is literally going to rely on Baker Mayfield making or breaking this game. It's all going to be on Baker.
And I'm with you on that 100%, Mark. I couldn't agree more. The thing that's going to be getting it from me, and I'm going to piss off a bunch of Cleveland fans or piss off a bunch of Cowboy fans, but also at the same time make them happy because apparently there's a curse with me. Whenever I pick against the Cowboys, they win, but whenever I pick the Cowboys, they lose. So Cowboy fans, you're going to be happy with me because I'm actually going to go against you. I think the Browns can get it done in Jerry World. Now, the reason I'm going with this, though, is for 2 reasons. One, Ezekiel Elliott has been absolutely abysmal this season. And reason being, the 58 carries, 219 yards, that's a 3.78 average per yards and only 3 touchdowns. Honestly, if you're a Cowboys fan, you're expecting a lot more from Zeke Elliott with something like that. But for me, it comes into For me, it comes down to the scheduling over the next couple of weeks, and I'm looking at the next 2 weeks for both teams. Next week, the Cowboys have the Giants and the Cardinals and everything. And then you look at the Browns schedule, they have the Colts and then the Steelers back-to-back weeks. So right now, Cleveland knows that everything is going to be getting tough, and right now they're looking at that 2-week bot or those 2 weeks to Pittsburgh. And honestly, they're looking to make a statement towards Pittsburgh, and I think that the way you do it is you get a team like Dallas, who's been struggling right now, but can also be a powerhouse whenever they want to, and honestly just absolutely upset them and honestly shock the nation and shock, honestly, I don't know what the Cowboys fans call them, so we'll just say shock Cowboy Nation. So I got to go with Cleveland on that one. Now, hopping over to another game that, honestly, in my opinion, between the 2 defenses is going to be the most physical game this Sunday has to offer. Now, yes, we got Kansas City in New England. We'll touch on that in about 5 minutes. It's after these picks. But I think this game is going to be a little bit more hard-hitting with both defenses. That's Minnesota against Houston. Jake, this game's in Houston. Houston had a tough week last week against Pittsburgh. And Minnesota, I believe, is also coming off of a tough loss against Tennessee. So 2 teams beaten up, but however, not down. Who do you got?
I got to go with Houston. I'm sorry. Minnesota, your time is done. Like, I used to be an avid fan of Kirk Cousins. I honestly did. For 3 years straight, he was my quarterback in fantasy. So I've given up all hope on Minnesota. They cannot execute in late game scenarios. You know, they can start off very strong, but then they'll end up just shitting the bed afterward, and that's because Cousins wants to take the deep bomb down the field every single fourth quarter, whether they're up or they're down by, 1 or 2 touchdowns. He'll just bomb it down, and I think that's where a lot of defenses find their success. And Houston's defense, they still got J.J. Watt. They still have a pretty good defense, and honestly, excuse me. Oh, boy, that tie is not sitting with me right. But you got to look at Houston. They played, as you mentioned, a very tough team, very tough opening schedule. Whereas Minnesota, whenever I can pull them up here real quick, they played the Colts, which no one thought – they thought they were going to be tough. They played the Packers and the Titans, especially with Tannehill being on a slump last week. And, they still lost. They're 0-3. They're 4th in the NFC North. with their talent on their team, they should, and I say should, be one of the, at least tied for maybe second or first. But no, they are just absolutely terrible this season. They are, why can't I find them on the team stats? Oh, well. Oh, yeah, they're like closer to the bottom in total offense. I think Kirk Cousins is washed up, and with the subtraction of Stephon Diggs to his offensive game plan, he really only has Adam Thielen and Kyle Rudolph, if you want to go that far. He has really nothing except, Dalvin Cook, I think, is going to be the one that carries them on his back if they do, put up a good performance. But I think Kirk Cousins is not a team leader. He's not a good player to lead a team to the promised land. And I just, if I could offer any advice to the Vikings right now, start tanking while you can. I mean that sincerely. Tank for a good quarterback, because they're starting to wash out here in the later part of, as years go by, they're starting to wash out. So tank now, get a new leader behind center, make Kirk Cousins a backup, let him teach the new rookie, and that's when you can start winning. But as for this week, by Houston, no Minnesota whatsoever. So
hang on. I want to touch on a little point that you brought there. You said tank for a rookie quarterback. Is that a little bit of a hint for Trevor Lawrence over to Minnesota? Obviously, one of the more higher touted prospects this year's draft. But is that a hint I'm hearing a little bit, Jake?
I wouldn't go as far to say Trevor Lawrence, because I think there's going to be another contender for him. I'm not sure who yet, but I don't think they're going to be able to do that and get Trevor Lawrence. If they do, great. I'm going to say a little bit of a sleeper pick for who they should draft. This is a late rounder, and this might be a little biased, but I really think if the Vikings can pick Kenny Pickett from Pitt, I really think that could be a game changer, because Pickett's got good ability. He just needs taught more, and he has a good offensive line, which I think Minnesota could, they could produce. Get a few good draft picks, pick a few good linemen, get Pickett late in the draft, put him behind a solid foundation up front, let him sling the ball. I think he's a solid quarterback option, and I think Minnesota could benefit well from him. It's a cheap pick, low risk, high reward sort of move. And I think that could be my pick for who Minnesota could possibly get. And that's not really a tanking move, but if you're thinking critically, tank for a better lineman pick in the first round or first 2 rounds, try to get Pickett in the third.
I like it. Mark, following that with what Jake said and everything, I mean, how do you combat that? Obviously Minnesota is struggling against a couple teams that have been tough. Both teams with tough schedules, obviously. So, Mark, who picks up their first win in Houston this week?
It's going to be the Houston Texans, and touching on Minnesota real quick, I don't know if anyone else has noticed this for the first few games that Minnesota has played this year. Yeah, Cousins is Cousins, and you're not going to be able to change that. I think it was a terrible move going after him in the first place for Minnesota. Does anyone else think that Minnesota is suffering from withdrawal symptoms, since Diggs is no longer there? Diggs was your down-the-field threat. He was your secure hands in for the Minnesota game. When you were in trouble, you can throw to him, and he would get you the yards you needed to, whether it was a first down, whether it's to get to the sidelines or whatnot. He was there. And they don't have that security blanket this year, which I think is a big difference. But anyways, back to this game that we're talking about. The Texans are going to win. So touching on defense here, Minnesota's ranked 32nd, which is last in the NFL. The Texans are 27th. Deshaun Watson is obviously better than Cousins. You have the duo of the Johnsons in the backfield for Houston with David and Duke, which is an awesome 1-2 punch, not afraid to run the ball up the gut and put a hurt on a defense. Let's not forget you have wide receivers Fuller, Cobb, Stills, all great wide receivers, all players and utility pieces that get the ball from their quarterback. And let's not forget as well, I would definitely say that this is the Texans' game to lose rather than Minnesota's game to win and try to steal. If Houston plays a typical game like they have for the past 3 weeks and are consistent and are smart with the football, they should come away with this win very easily.
Yeah, and I'm with you on that. Honestly, I can't disagree with both of you. I mean, I personally, and this is no biasm or anything, I've loved Houston for a while. I really do. I love facing them when they go up against Pittsburgh, because it's always two phenomenal defenses going at it, and I love seeing those two teams going at it. It's phenomenal. It's awesome. I love it. Now, the thing with me for this matchup, fantasy owners pay attention, because I'm going to say it very closely. Start Dalvin Cook, for crying out loud. I know Minnesota's going to lose, in my opinion. Minnesota's losing. But start Dalvin Cook. Because Viking fans, if it's one thing you have looking forward to, and I think, Jake, you touched on it, Dalvin Cook is going to be the future of this team. Like, whether anybody likes it or not, Dalvin Cook is going to be your running back for the future. And I'm honestly glad for it, because who knows? Are we looking at a potential, another Derrick Henry? Who knows? But I think that if Dalvin Cook has a full season under his belt, a lot of promising things are coming from that kid. Now, the next game I want to touch on is one that I pretty much spoiled a little bit, and honestly is going to be one that is really going to test out Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots. It's New England against Kansas City. Kansas City last week coming off of a booming win against, and who else? The Baltimore Ravens. And for people who don't know, that was on prime time, and the final for that game was 34-20. 34-20 against a top, from what a lot of experts have been saying, a top 3 team in the NFL. Oh, like the top team in the NFL, it's no shock that everybody's saying Kansas City is the number 1 team in the NFL. But then you look at Baltimore, who a lot of teams have been saying are the number 2 team in the NFL. Oh, and Kansas City beats them by 14. Now, Cam Newton starting to find himself a little bit with New England, and honestly, a 16-point win against the Raiders. Honestly, Jake, it's a 7-point line. Does New England and Bill Belichick even have a chance against this Andy Reid ran offense, which is just clicking on everything? And the game's in Arrowhead, by the way, to make matters worse or better. I don't know which side you're rooting for. So, Jake, who you got?
I got it. My live lies with Kansas City in this one. Last week, they went into Baltimore on the road and absolutely dismantled them. The only way for me for the Patriots to win is if Cam Newton can wake up again for another week. I think they have James White back for this week, which is a good thing. But I'm sorry, just with the way Pat Mahomes played against, a perennial playoff contender in Baltimore last week, 5 total touchdowns, over 300 yards. I can't scoff at the Chiefs. I got to put all my chips on them, especially with all the weapons that Mahomes has. Even in his tertiary receivers, wide receiver 3, he got Sammy Watkins. Like, he's one of the underrated heroes for them. It's going to be an offensive showcase, honestly, and I got to go with Kansas City just based on Pat Mahomes' ability and the weapons he's got around him.
And I think nobody would disagree with you unless you're a Patriots fan. But, Mark, is there any, disagreement on that? I mean, Andy Reid is honestly – this is probably the 2 best coaches in the NFL. And I hate saying that every week with Belichick. But, unfortunately, it's just – it has to be said. And you got the 2 best coaches in the NFL. And I know my dad's also giving me backlash because he hates Andy Reid. But Reid, Belichick, which offensive mastermind gets it done this week, Mark?
I mean, if I just pick on solely offensive mastermind, and if I had to start an NFL franchise, who would I want coaching? I would want Bill Belichick, no doubt about it. But that's another story for another time. I'm going to have to stick with the norm here. I'm going to have to go with Kansas City. So we were talking last week about the Baltimore game, how they beat the brakes off Baltimore. All frankly, they had to do that, especially when they almost got taken out of the stadium against the Chargers. Almost took them out, and the Chargers were only rushing 4 defensive linemen. Are you serious? They almost lost the Chargers. In addition to that, I don't like how New England is running their offense this year. Now, let me explain why I say that. When Tom Brady was there, when he got hurt, you could easily plug and play any of the other quarterbacks that New England had on the bench. Hoyer, Jimmy G, Jacoby Brissett, Tim Tebow when he was there, etc. Tom was essentially a piece in that cog of an offense that could be replaced. That is now no longer the case now with Cam Newton. Cam Newton is literally the offense for the New England Patriots. If Cam Newton goes and Cam Newton is on fire, New England's Patriots offense will be on fire. If he's having a bad game and if he's hurt, if you try to bring in the backup now, you cannot run the same offense because Cam Newton is a completely different style of quarterback who does not like staying in the pocket, who is a refrigerator to tackle, and who has these legs that just could take off and run on you, where Jarrett Stidham is not any of that. He was more of a Tom Brady sit in the pocket compared to a Cam Newton. I don't see this working out for New England at all this season if Cam Newton gets hurt. But I'm gonna go through a little bold prediction myself. I think Kansas City and Buffalo are gonna be perfect teams until they meet up, and Buffalo will take that win when they meet up. But we'll save that for when we get to Buffalo.
And I like that. A little bit of a hot take going your way, Mark. I like it. For me, it's simple. I personally love Cam Newton. I think he's finding himself again in New England. However, I think this is where the reality checks in for Cam Newton. I think that he's finally facing a big boy team in the Kansas City Chiefs. Because you look at the Patriots' recent schedule, and it's been Miami, Seattle, which you can consider a big boy team, in which he lost by 5, and then you got the Raiders. But if you're talking about an AFC powerhouse that Kansas City or that New England's going to be going up against, and potentially if Cam Newton wants to play in the playoffs, honestly, he's in the right atmosphere, he's in the right stadium, and he's facing the right team. But I just think Cam Newton struggles this week against Kansas City, and really I think that this is going to be something that we haven't heard in a while for Kansas or for New England. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say, or no, for New England, yeah. I think that New England honestly gets blown out in this game. I think this game doesn't even become close. Now, Mark, you touched on one of the teams I was bringing up eventually. Guys, let's talk about the other 425 game. This one probably going to be on CBS if I'm right. I'm not sure. But Raider fans, we've been talking about you a lot this season, but we're talking about you this week simply because of the fact that you're going up against, in my opinion, the new favorite to win the AFC East. And a lot of people are questioning, a lot of people are questioning how the Raiders are 2-1, whether it's a new move, whether it's a different move. Lost to the Patriots last week, beat the Saints, 2 weeks ago, which was a shock to everybody, and then also beat the Panthers in their very first week. But now they're home again against a powerhouse team in Buffalo. I mean, Jake, I'll start off with you. Does the fortune continue in Las Vegas? It's so weird saying that nowadays. Does everything continue for the Las Vegas Raiders, or Buffalo coming into this game 3-0 with honestly with an MVP caliber Josh Allen? Does the undefeated streak continue for Buffalo, or do the Raiders take this one?
I got to say the winning streak continues for the Bills Mafia. Only because you mentioned it, Josh Allen is playing out his ass this year. He's, I think, second in the NFL in passing yards. He's playing at MVP level, and it's only week 4. Las Vegas, I think they have a strong core, but I don't think Derek Carr is going to lead them to the promised land. I know I pick on quarterbacks a lot, but those are who you normally look at. But Josh Allen is showing us something different. I think who he's got in the backfield, Singletary, I think is a good option. He's got Stephon Diggs, who in my opinion is a very underrated receiver this season just because he went to Buffalo. But I really think the Bills are on some sort of hot streak, and I think it was you or Mark, maybe both of you mentioned that them and Kansas City are definitely high contenders on my list. So I have to go with Buffalo just because of the talent around them, the way they've been playing, and I'm not even sure. I keep doing this. I'm trying to see who they've played. I mean, they've played the Rams. Yeah, they played the Dolphins and the Jets, but I mean, come on now. They played the Rams last week, and they're a tough team to beat. So I think Bills have what it takes, and I think this week, they're going to come away with a win in Las Vegas.
And that, honestly, that's nothing to disagree with you on. Mark, I mean, this one might be a little bit tough for you, man. I know you like the underdog story with Las Vegas. Still feels weird to say that. I've said it like 6 times this podcast, but it's weird to say that name. By the way, correcting myself real quick, both the Patriots and Kansas City game and this game, the Buffalo-Las Vegas game, are both going to be on CBS. So whichever game you get, you're going to be definitely getting a offensive showdown. But Mark, I got to ask, does Josh Allen's magic work, or, same thing? Does Vegas kill the undefeated streak for Buffalo?
Well, just to get out of the way, I'm going to say the Oakland Raiders right here and right now. That way we don't jinx ourselves for later on. But I see the Buffalo Bills continuing on the way that they did. They have yet to show me a reason exactly why not to like them. Especially last week, I had actually picked the Rams to to lose to Buffalo last week. I did not like that the Rams had a back-to-back travel schedule where they just went to Philly, even though they won at Philly, and then they had to go to Buffalo. I did not like that at all. Buffalo proved me right in winning that game. Now, granted, as well, the Raiders' defense has surrendered so far an average of 28 points over the last 3 games to the Carolina Panthers, the New Orleans Saints, and New England. Their defense is ranked currently, at 29 out of 32nd. They're home. I mean, it's a brand new stadium, and the stadium looks awesome. There's still, though, nothing that is telling me right now too bad against the Buffalo Bills right now.
I hear you guys. Eyes on that. And honestly, this one's easy for me. I'm going with Buffalo. I don't think the Raiders are ready for a team such as Buffalo. I mean, people will make the argument that they beat New Orleans. However, the other thing that a lot of people forget, that's also without Michael Thomas. But I think that honestly, I think that Buffalo absolutely comes in here, and I think they break in whatever the new Vegas stadium is called. I personally don't remember, don't care. But I think they break it in, and I think they break it in a big way. I think that scoreboard actually sees 50 for the very first time. And honestly, the line is at 50, or the over-under is at 52.5. So this game is going to be a bloodbath, but honestly, I got Buffalo absolutely running over the Raiders. So now, something that we never get to happen, two for you, 2 NFC East games coming at you. Honestly, had this game not been a night game, we probably wouldn't be talking about it. But at the same time, with all the injuries to San Francisco, we might have talked about it. But this one, I feel like, is going to be a little bit more easier. These next two games might be a little bit more easier for you guys. So let's start it off. Philadelphia against San Francisco in San Francisco. Injury depleted 49ers. Honestly, Eagles could be a team that takes advantage of this team. Jake, are they the team that actually, takes advantage of an injury-ridden 49ers team? Or is it just the same old shit from the NFC East?
Same old shit from the NFC East. Carson Wentz, not a good quarterback. Nick Mullins filled in the other day, and I was actually watching, I think it was ESPN. I think it was Monday. They said Nick Mullins has a better read of the zone, or better read of the field when it comes to, passing plays and just game management overall. And I think Nick Mullins is one of the most underrated players in the NFL today. Granted, he is like a second-string quarterback, but I think with his, awareness on the field and his ability to make plays and, even as a fill-in, I really think that San Francisco can continue winning, and especially with Philadelphia, how they just crumble and crumble and crumble and miss passes and crumble and absolutely suck. It's hard to bet against the Philadelphia Eagles. So I think Nick Mullins is going to lead them to victory in prime time on Sunday night.
All right. And then, Mark, same question to you, man. And is it a brand new Philadelphia Eagles going into San Francisco, or does San Francisco just, flick them like the booger they are and just say, hey, it's like I said, same old shit from the NFC East? What do you got, Mark?
Philly special? What Philly special? Listen, Philadelphia has had a rough time here, and they've had a rough time ever since Nick Foles left. I mean, call him St. Nick, call him whatever you want. In my opinion, he's the one who should have stayed instead of Carson Wentz. I really think if the Eagles would have had Sam Darnold in their offense right now, Sam Darnold would fit better in their scheme and would actually work better in their scheme compared to Carson Wentz. I do not like Carson Wentz, how he carries himself on the field and how he tries to essentially go for the long ball and try to extremely be the hero essentially of the game. And I don't like how he carries himself off the field in the locker room. And there was reports of that during not only the Super Bowl run, but the playoff run after that as well. With that said, the Niners are going to get the win, even though they are injury-riddled. I said it at the very beginning of the year when I did my fantasy league here. I do think the 49ers were going to be a glass cannon this year, especially with all the injuries. And like I just touched on, Philadelphia is definitely missing something. I personally do not believe that Philadelphia is going to finish the year with a above 500 record this year. And I do think, depending on how badly Carson Wentz plays this week, that Jalen Hurts will get playing time in this week because he was just elevated this week to QB Tier 2 instead of QB Tier 3 by the Philadelphia head coach. So it's going to be very, very interesting this week to see, does Jalen Hurts get his rookie start this week?
Honestly, for me, it's Mark, you said it best. It's I think if Jalen Hurts gets in this game, and I think if the game's close, I think that Jalen Hurts actually performs well. Because I'm a huge fan. Personally, I'm a huge fan of Jalen Hurts. I loved seeing him in play in I loved seeing him play in Oklahoma. I thought he was a fantastic quarterback. Or I think it was Oklahoma, right? Hey, let me just double check myself on that real quick. Pardon my.
No, it was Oklahoma. You're right.
It was Oklahoma? All right. I had some sort of stupid feeling saying it was Alabama, but that's a useful thing that we're all used to hearing. But nonetheless, as for me, it's simple. Oh, San Francisco is pissed off this season. I've said it before, I'll say it again. San Francisco is pissed off this season, and honestly, a team like Philadelphia is just standing in the way of what the 49ers want to accomplish. And honestly, it's like I said, they're just going to flick the booger of the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, speaking of flicking boogers, a team that honestly should be a hell of a lot better than honestly a lot of people should be saying are honestly 1-2 right now, or 2-1, whatever you want to call it. Honestly, the man of an absolute legendary quarterback, heckin' Dan Quinn, the Atlanta Falcons, ladies and gentlemen. Can we just give a round of applause for just absolutely blowing 2 back-to-back, 20-point leads?
28-3 all over again.
Oh, my God. Atlanta Matt Ryan is currently having flashbacks right now, and for Matt Ryan, it doesn't get any easier. And how do you bounce back from blowing 2 leads? Honestly, you don't. But then you got to say, hey, by the way, you're going up against probably the best quarterback in the NFL, and Aaron Rodgers this week. So, honestly, Jake, I'll put it to you like this. I'm giving Atlanta no chance. Here, I'll give you my pick first. I'm giving Atlanta no chance. And I'm saying Green Bay absolutely just runs over Atlanta, especially what happened last week with New Orleans. But, Jake, how bad does Atlanta lose? Does Atlanta blow the lead, or does Atlanta actually pick up the win?
Fuck no. They aren't even going to get the Atlanta Falcons aren't even going to get the lead to begin with. Aaron Rodgers is playing as if he's in his rookie fucking season again. So, and they're playing at Lambeau. The Falcons got no shot. Their morale is absolutely done. They are toast. After last week's ass fucking, there is no way they are ever going to bounce back from that again. So Atlanta's done. Get the fuck out of here. They're going to get embarrassed nationwide on television against Green Bay. It's going to be fucking ugly.
Mark, any arguments, man? I mean, this is probably going to be the quickest Monday night game that we cover all season. Mark, any arguments? Does Atlanta have a chance? Does Atlanta lose by 100? Or does Atlanta blow another lead for the 3rd straight week?
I think Atlanta will have a chance if Matty Ice is no longer Matty Ice. Listen, the Falcons defense is ranked right now 29th in the league. They've given up an average of 36 points over the past 3 games. Aaron Rodgers is once again proving why he is that bad man from that famous ESPN analyst. Ranked 6th in the NFL, averaging 24.82 points over the last 3 games. Matty Ice has just touched on, ranked 8th in the NFL, averaging 21.28 points over the last 3 games that he's played. The QBs are evenly matched in this series. There's no doubt about that. What you need to have the difference maker be is the Falcons' defense and special teams stepping up and being the reason why they actually win the game compared to being the reason why the past 3 games they've lost.
And honestly, if you're looking at Atlanta, honestly, there's a meme of Matt Ryan just absolutely bombing out the F-bomb, and it's hilarious. And honestly, who knows? But one game that we were going to touch on, no matter what happened in this week, and honestly, with all the COVID bullshit going on, Jake, you said it at the top of the broadcast, it sucks to have this type of a game get canceled because, honestly, I think this could have been – and I know we say it for a ton of games, but this game I think we all could could have been game of the year this year for two teams that we probably would have been seeing again in the playoffs, us facing off and just giving you two hell of a matches is this season. Jake, Pittsburgh, Tennessee getting canceled this week due to COVID. What are your thoughts on it, man? That's the best way I can put it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I was upset. I mean, I kind of still am because it's not a Sunday without Steeler football, and the fact that they're doing like an impromptu bye week, like they're still going to get tested and everything. I think it's kind of bogus, and I'm a little pissed off that it's like the MLB. You have a practice squad, but we would just rather not play than utilize what we have on the practice squad. And I think that was the biggest thing is we should have Tennessee should have done that. If not, they're going to forfeit the game. I don't like that they're rescheduling the game. They're rescheduling Ravens games, rescheduling Titans games. No, if you guys broke protocol, fuck that. Y'all are forfeiting, or y'all don't, we're going to go ahead and you sign practice squad players. There should be no moving of games in the NFL. I'm sorry. They had so much time to plan for this. And honestly, I would rather see an entire practice squad face off against the Steelers than, cancel the game and push it to week 8 or something like that and have the Steelers play 13 games in a row. Even though Mike Tomlin said, it doesn't matter, we're still going to show up ready to play, but it's just a little annoying that this is what it's come to. And I don't know. I'm still sick of it. I really wish that it didn't come to it, but such is life.
Yeah, such is life indeed. And Mark, it's never good for a game to get canceled, and it's always tough to reschedule in the NFL because then you got to align bye weeks and everything like that, and now you got to figure out a brand new time to play this game. So, Mark, what are your thoughts on, and I think this is the first time in a long time that we've had a game actually postponed in the NFL.
It is. It has been a long time. I can't remember the exact dates on it, but you are right. It has been a long time, JT. And let's not only think about regular players in real life NFL. Let's also think about people's fantasy leagues. You have players on both Pittsburgh and Tennessee who are supposed to be going this week. And Pittsburgh and Tennessee players, if you look at players who are drafted in the average NFL fantasy league, they're one of the higher two teams up there for having players be drafted out for the teams. So a lot of people are having to make moves on the fantasy wires and all that. For me, I had Steven Gostkowski, who just had an absolute monster game last week at 25 points. I had to sub him out this week. And then there were other players that I had to sub in as well for various pieces. This was very, very interesting, especially how I really don't want to see last minute. Like, I understand how for COVID, they want to take the overall precaution. If some people on a team are confirmed positive, how they want to just shut everything down. I totally understand that. I totally get that. But I necessarily don't think you should be taking it on the team organization of the Tennessee Titans. I really think there should have been like an optional clause or something in these people's contracts where if they decide they want to go break protocol for COVID-19, that should either result in automatic termination, fines, et cetera, and stuff like that. You should definitely have the players held responsible for this situation, for them breaking protocol instead of holding the Tennessee Titans to the organization. They can set every rule. They can do every procedure, every possible sanitization option that is out there. But at the end of the day, if these people don't want to take the initiative and stay safe, be smart, and do all the things that they're supposed to do, then that should be on them. And they should be the ones who face the penalty and be ultimately held responsible.
I got you 100% on that one. And for me, it's this, like, going for fantasy and everything like that. Yeah, I had to sub out Big Ben and Derrick Henry. That sucks for me, but it gives me another reason to start Phillip Rivers and whoever I subbed in for wide receiver. I think it was DJ Shark, but it's never good to get a game canceled in the NFL or postponed, whatever you want to say, because now it's throwing in someone like it's throwing Goodell under the bus or throwing Goodell in front of the bus and just seeing what he's going to do. So this is really going to be one of the first tests that we see for Roger Goodell. Oh, and I hope I'm saying the right NFL commissioner, right? It's Goodell. Oh, too much shit's been going on with baseball and everything. And so if I'm wrong, I apologize. If I'm not, I don't care. Or I'll piss people off by saying the wrong commissioner. But like I said, it's just going to be on the NFL's part to find a way to just reschedule this game and everything. Now, going to skip over a topic that we have for this week. We're going to talk on the NFC East, but I feel like that's a whole new topic for another week. And let's just see how this week goes for the NFC East. And then maybe we'll talk about it next week. But this next subject, going to make it quick for you guys. Guys, gentlemen, another favorite subject here. Give me a fantasy sleeper and a fantasy bust this week that you think that honestly people should be on the lookout for, and honestly people should be scared of. Jake, I'll start with you.
Okay, so I'm going to start off with my fantasy sleeper, and we don't talk about defenses enough, I honestly think. And I'm going to go with the Seahawks defense. They're playing against Fitzception. He had a good game, so now he's due for a terrible game. And I had to pick them up because I had the Steelers defense, and I think that's going to be a sneaky move. Fantasy bust that I think is going to be for this week. Oh, man, I'm looking. I'm going to go – and this is going to be really, 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 really weird. I'm going to go with – yeah, I didn't pick that yet. But I'm going to go with Alvin Kamara, only because the Detroit Lions, they were a force to be reckoned with when it came to Kyler Murray last week and the Arizona Cardinals offense, and they have a lot of weapons on there. So I really, even though the New Orleans Saints, I think, is a good team to play, I really think they're going to focus in on Kamara, shut him down, and I don't think he's going to be, a complete bomb, but I think that it's going to be hard for him to really break out once again against this team.
I hear you on that 100%, man. And Mark, fantasy sleeper, fantasy bust. Who you got this week, man?
So sleeper, last week I would have told you to take Cincinnati's defense to face the Eagles this week, and you would have actually been a smart person doing that. You would have averaged 6 points, where if you started the Rams defense, you only got 4. But this week, I want you to take Nick Mullins as your quarterback. I want you to face off against the Philadelphia Eagles defense. Still not proven there, as if you can, especially if Roethlisberger's out, or if you got Tennessee quarterbacks out, definitely go ahead, get Nick Mullins off your waiver wire. Right now, he's only rostered at 2.1% of the leagues. He just averaged against the New York Giants a total of 17.72 points with 343 yards and one touchdown. He's projected, that was a passing, and then he had 4 attempts for rushing with 0 on that as well. Ranked 33rd overall. This guy definitely has great potential for this week to succeed, even with all the injuries. Bust. Listen, I'm going to tell you guys, I think a bust is Rob Gronkowski, and I'm going to stay with this. Even though he had a tremendous game last week, he got over 10 points in fantasy. I honestly think that was a one and done. The way Bruce Arians runs his offense, his offense is not designed to utilize the tight ends. It's designed to utilize the running backs, and it's designed to utilize the wide receivers. I honestly think the reason why you saw Gronk used as much as he was last week was because there was such flack that you saw about it in the media. I think it was a one and done. If you have Gronk on your teams, I think you should definitely send him off. And if you're lucky to catch a sucker for trading, definitely take the trade or go on and get other people that are out there. But my bust definitely is Rob Gronkowski.
Yeah, if only I knew a guy who drafted Rob Gronkowski with the 15th overall pick in our draft. Did I say that out loud? I'm messing with
took a Goff with 16th overall, and that worked out pretty well. So,
hey, you don't hear me arguing with me, man. I'm just busting your balls. For me, it's gonna be simple. My first one, my first fantasy sleeper, and I'll start off with that. My first fantasy sleeper is gonna actually be very, very simple. I think that this guy is super underrated in the NFL. I think that honestly, a lot of people overlook him, and I think he's definitely due for a big game. I know he's listed as questionable, but I definitely think he can do a lot for you this week. Honestly, guys, I'm going over to Jacksonville. I'm going to say DJ Shark. Pick up the man. Honestly, great speed receiver, very underlooked. I know he's only got 7 receptions for 109 yards, and again, I know he's listed as questionable, but he missed last week. But this week, I think that – he missed last week for Thursday Night Football, but I think this week, honestly – I think that if he comes back and everything and he's healthy, I think DJ Shark is going to be a fantastic wide receiver. So definitely look out and look to pick him up come Sunday. Now for my sleeper or for my bust, I'm going to go with a position that not really a lot of people talk about in terms of bust, but folks, I'm going with Matt Ryan of the Atlanta Falcons. The reason being is because honestly, I think that yes, he's putting up great numbers. However, his team's not helping him out, but I also think Matt Ryan might struggle against this. Matt Ryan is probably going to struggle against the Green Bay defense, and really, it's just going to be a case of once this team stops giving a shit, Matt Ryan's going to stop giving a shit, and that's just something that you don't want to see around the NFL, or more or less for your team that matter. You don't want to see your quarterback start giving up. But honestly, I think that Matt Ryan starts to perform underperformed this game. And honestly, I think that he's going to have to rely on Todd Gurley a lot more than we think. So give me Matt Ryan as a shocking bust this week. Now, next topic we're touching on, and this is pretty much going to wrap it up. Guys, I'm going to make it simple. Make it quick, make it beautiful. Guys, give me some hot takes we got going in for this week. Eager, whatever you want. All right, so Jake, give me a hot take, man.
AFC Player of the Week, Joe Burrow.
And that's coming from a Steelers. Wow, all right. Okay. All right. That's leaving me speechless a little bit. All right, Mark, on to you. Give me a hot take, man. And I got to wrap that one.
Definitely did not see that one coming. I got to give the tip of the cap to you on that one, Jake. That was awesome. I'm going to stick with the hot take, like I said earlier, even though it doesn't apply to this week. Kansas City and Buffalo will remain undefeated until they face off each other here at Week 6. And at Week 6, Buffalo's going to take home that win. I really think Kansas City, especially how surprising they struggled against the San Diego Chargers. Excuse me, not the San Diego Chargers, the LA Chargers. See, I knew I was going to jinx myself later by getting the wrong city. But anyways, if they had that much difficulty with the Chargers, imagine what Buffalo is going to be at. And they are at Buffalo for that game. We just saw the Rams go in there, and granted, they tried to do a miracle comeback as the Rams did. There's no way in heck Kansas City is going to be able to pull this win off when they have to go face Buffalo at Buffalo.
Wow. All right. Wow. Wow. Those two. I mean, my hot take was going to be something, but wow. All right. Part of me still speechless with that, with Jake's hot take with Joe Burrow being offensive player of the week. And then Mark going in with that one. You know what? Screw it. I'm going to keep with my hot take. And my hot take is actually going to be one that might shock a couple of people. Oh, and I hate to pick on the Atlanta Falcons a lot, but unfortunately this season, y'all are just setting yourselves up for failure, or especially what's happened when you really, and in reality, you should be 2-1 right now. But the way y'all are playing, honestly, I think that Atlanta this season, I think the Falcons finish with the worst record in the NFL this year and get the number 1 overall pick. So honestly, that's going to be my hot take. Like, I think Atlanta finishes with the worst record in the NFL. Oh, how many wins do they get? I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to say that they get, you know what? I'm feeling generous tonight. I'm going to say they get 2 wins. Or no. Give me 4 wins. I think they beat the Raiders. I think they beat the Panthers. Actually, I think they take that season series against the Panthers. And I think they beat the Lions. So, give me that. I think the Falcons finish with the worst record in the NFL. So, all right, guys, any last second or last minute wrap ups here?
No, I'm good. Thanks again for coming on, Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me on. I greatly enjoyed doing this. Definitely love to do it again with you guys sometime. Enjoy the podcast. Love listening to you guys out there.
Yeah, definitely. And guys, that's going to go ahead. That's going to wrap it up for us, for me, for Jake. Want to thank again, Mark. I want to thank you again for coming on, brother. It was a pleasure having you. Who knows? Maybe we'll be seeing you on more future podcasts as I almost absolutely obliterate my closet door. But guys, that's going to wrap it up for us here. Guys, this was another episode of the J Squared Gridiron Podcast. Guys, thank you guys so much for listening, and we will see you guys next week. Take it easy, guys.